Hello and welcome to Fables of the World. Today, our story begins with a whisper, the voice of a lonely wind that was tired of being what it was. This wind, named Zephyr, drifted over mountaintops and through valleys, a constant, unseen presence. But Zephyr felt he had no purpose. He saw the world from a distance, moving things along but never truly a part of them. He envied the stones. The great, unmoving rocks that stood sentinel on the highest peaks and rested silently in the riverbeds. They had purpose, he thought. They were strong, solid, and enduring. He yearned to be like them, to finally have a place to stand still and be something permanent. One day, filled with a deep sense of dissatisfaction, Zephyr decided he would no longer be a wind. He would become a stone. But how does a wind become a stone? Zephyr didn't know, so he began a journey to find out. He traveled across the land, seeking out the oldest and wisest stones he could find. He went to a small, smooth pebble on the shore of a great lake. The pebble had been worn down by 1,000 years of waves and was beautiful in its simplicity. Zephyr tried to imitate it, holding himself perfectly still in the air above the lake. But he could feel his own restless nature pulling him, and soon he was drifting away again, a fleeting presence with no shape or form. He was not a stone, he was just a wind trying to be still. The failure left a cold emptiness inside him. His very essence, he felt, was a mockery of his ambition. To be defined by motion, by the absence of form, when all he craved was a solid existence, was a torment. He saw the pebble as a beacon of peace he could never attain, and the steady, rhythmic lapping of the water felt like a song of permanence he was forever barred from joining. With a deep sigh of frustration, he tore himself away from the shore, a small, sorrowful vortex of air, vowing to find a different kind of strength. He would not seek stillness, he would seek unyielding power. He flew with a desperate urgency, his form twisting and turning in a frantic dance of purpose, seeking a stone so grand, so immovable, that its very being would be a lesson in strength. His search led him to the high mountains, where a great boulder, carved by eons of harsh weather, sat like a king. This stone was strong, unyielding, and utterly magnificent in its size and presence. Zephyr tried to become like it, gathering himself into a powerful, dense vortex of air and trying to mimic its weight and immobility. He pressed down on the mountain with all his might, but all he did was create a small, temporary dust cloud. The great boulder didn't even notice him. Dejected, Zephyr went to a field of wildflowers. They were all swaying in a gentle breeze, their bright colors a beautiful mosaic on the green landscape. I will become a tiny stone, Zephyr thought. A small part of this great field, silent and still. He found a small gap between two flowers and tried to stop there, to simply exist. But as he did, he noticed the flowers around him were starting to wilt. Their stems, which had relied on his constant, gentle movement to carry nutrients and water, were beginning to droop. The air around them grew heavy and stagnant, and the flowers began to look sad. Zephyr, in his quest to be a stone, was unknowingly harming the very life he admired. He felt a pang of guilt and, unable to bear the sight, he drifted away, once again a wind with no purpose. He flew for days, heartbroken and lost, until he came to the foot of a towering, ancient mountain. This mountain was so old that its very stone seemed to hum with the wisdom of the earth. Zephyr wrapped himself around the peak, and in a quiet, sighing voice, he told the mountain of his plight. He spoke of his envy for the stones, for their permanence, their strength, their unmoving beauty. He explained his failed attempts to find his place, to be a part of the world instead of just passing through it. The mountain listened patiently, a quiet and steadfast presence. When Zephyr had finished, the mountain spoke, its voice a low rumble that vibrated through the air. "Zephyr," it said, "you see me as a symbol of permanence, and in a way, I am. But I was not always this way. I was once a part of a great tectonic shift, a slow, violent dance of earth. And even now, I am not truly still. My peaks are slowly eroded by the rains you carry. My stones are shaped and smoothed by the very force you believe you lack. Your passing, your movement, is what gives me my form. You bring the seeds of new life to my soil. You carry the scents of distant lands to my forests. You are not meant to be a stone, for a stone is a place, but you are a journey." The words resonated deep within Zephyr. He had always seen his constant movement as a weakness, a lack of purpose. But the mountain's words made him see it in a new light. His movement was not a flaw, it was his greatest strength. He was a connector, a courier, a life bringer. He carried the smell of the sea to the fields and the scent of flowers to the mountains. He brought the rains that fed the rivers and the breezes that cooled the valleys. He was a part of every place he touched, not by standing still, but by passing through. Filled with a newfound sense of purpose, Zephyr no longer tried to become a stone. He embraced his nature. He swirled and danced over the land, a gentle, purposeful force. He helped the flowers grow strong, carried the scent of the forest to the villages, and whispered secrets to the leaves of the trees. He was not a place, but he was in every place. He was not still, but his movement was the very rhythm of life. He had found his joy not in being something he was not, but in the beautiful, essential, and unique person he was always meant to be.